Far Harbor DLC introduced us to a mysterious character, the Mother of the Fog.
Most people believe she's some sort of spirit, a creature of the wilds, though a few claim she's just an old hermit.
She may just be a nameless NPC, but maybe not. Bethesda loves to hide little secrets in their games, and the Far Harbor DLC is full of mysteries. This video explores the idea that maybe she is a character that we know from elsewhere in the Fallout universe, that's simply masquerading as the Mother of the Fog for reasons of their own. I've spent a lot of time investigating the Mother of the Fog, looking for clues left by Bethesda, and I've come up with a few leads, which yield two likely secret identities for the Mother. Now let's establish some info about her first. During the quest Visions in the Fog, the sole survivor drinks from Adam's Spring, and as an episode. I think the word episode is the most fitting to depict what happens here because the word hallucination would imply that some of it isn't real, as in parts are just in the sole survivor's head, which we don't know to be the case. The Mother then appears atop the spring and leads the sole survivor to a Children of Adam shrine, where the sole survivor retrieves the Mother icon. She appears as a silhouette cloaked in black mist, or is later described by the sole survivor.
More than that, she was a living shadow, oozing fog.
Perhaps drinking from the spring temporarily makes it so the field given off by stealth boys looks like black mist. One can see what her character model actually looks like with console commands. However, it's a mistake to assume that appearance is accurate, because Bethesda never intended for that model to be shown in-game. Honestly, looking at it, I think it's optimized for the black mist effect. It's dark skin, dark tatters. I think it's just optimized to get that effect. So I doubt they put any thought into how it actually looks. Many players quickly discovered the Mother's lair after the release of Far Harbor. It's located on the top floor of a red house just southeast of Haddock Cove, where one can find some cryptic notes, stealth boys, a bedroll, a mannequin, and the Children of Adam flag. This lair's existence seemingly confirms that she is a physical person and not a mystical being. The Mother writes cryptic notes that can be found near the Children of Adam shrine and in her lair near Haddock Cove. They're written in this strange code, no spaces, odd use of capitalization, and vague meaning. The style is very similar to haikus, but the syllables don't match up exactly with that. In 6 years, no one has found a hidden message in these notes, but there has to be something here. I strongly urge all fans to try to crack this, and if you find something, please comment. Maybe we are meant to break the words apart and use some trend in the capitalization to form haikus from just the words themselves or something like that. So look for possible acronyms as well, using relevant Fallout words. Also examine the periodic table, because that's how the terminal password is initially found, so maybe there's more there. Another one of Far Harbor's great mysteries is, why is the fog getting worse? I don't want to go too deep into this because I hope to do another whole video about it in the future, but one possibility is that the Mother is making it worse somehow. Examine her name, the Mother of the Fog. Well, what does a mother do? In broad terms, a mother creates. Hence, if she is the Mother of the Fog, wouldn't that mean that she creates the fog? Also, the description provided by the sole survivor, oozing fog, means that fog is coming out of her. I will address this again later because my guesses both fit with the idea pretty well. Now for the guesses. I have two likely characters that could be masquerading as the Mother of the Fog. The first is Hannah. All that we know about Hannah comes from old Longfellow's dialogue.
Long time ago, when I was a young man, I had a sweetheart. Hannah was her name. And we planned to get married, raise a family and all that. Well, we had a place out in the fog we used to meet so we could be alone. Damn Children of Adam jumped us. They took her and left me for dead. Took 2 months to recover from my injuries. By then, it was too late. They'd warped her mind and turned her into their ways. It was only later I learned she was carrying our child. Of course, the baby didn't stand a chance with all that radiation. Adam's will, she called Anyway, she died a few years later. Trappers got her. Or so them lunatics said. I guess that was Adam's will, too.
He leaves room for doubt regarding her demise, so maybe she's alive. It's possible that the children were telling him the truth about her being captured by trappers, but maybe they mistakenly presumed her dead. If it weren't for her miscarriage, she would have become a mother, so maybe she decided to become a mother in a different sense. Perhaps she thought it was Adam's will that she become the mother of the fog, as in make more fog. I don't have any ideas for how she would do that, but the idea is fitting nevertheless. Hannah is a devoted follower of Adam, so maybe being the mother is her way of serving a higher purpose. Perhaps she sees herself as Adam's agent who can interact with the children more directly than he can. Old Longfellow mentions a hiding place where they would go to be alone. Maybe the mother's lair is that hiding place. It's just about as far away from Far Harbor as you can get on the islands, but maybe that's the point. Hannah is a good guess, but there are some problems with it as well. Firstly, the time windows involved in this theory are very confusing. Old Longfellow's dialogue is the main source that seems to contradict everything else going on in the Far Harbor DLC. I don't know if Bethesda intended it that way, or if the writers just weren't on the same page writing his dialogue, but nevertheless it's unclear when exactly certain events took place. This conversation with Captain Avery and Alan Lee implies that the children of Adam arrived on the island about 8 years prior to the events of Far Harbor. However, Old Longfellow says that he was with Hannah when he was a much younger man. Given his age, I feel safe assuming that he means at least 20 years ago, which would put Hannah's capture by the children of Adam much longer than 8 years prior to the events of Far Harbor. Hence, it would put the children of Adam on the island long before Avery and Alan implied that they arrived. I don't want to digress any further than this, but I do think that the best explanation for this is that Old Longfellow is the thing that's not accurate here. Either the writers screwed this up, or he's remembering wrong, either due to alcohol consumption or exposure to the fog, something like that. His dialogue just makes everything so complicated, so I'm not going to dive into it more than I have to. It's impossible to pinpoint where exactly Hannah's story fits in all of this, but no possibility really fits well with her being the mother of the fog. The children say that the mother led them to the nucleus. For Hannah to have done that, she would have to have been kidnapped, converted to their religion, and had her miscarriage, all prior to their exile from Far Harbor. That wouldn't really make sense, because why would the children of Adam do something like kidnap a member of Far Harbor when they were still on okay terms with the people there? Why risk upsetting the easily angered people with guns? Just doesn't make sense. There is another smaller issue with Hannah being the mother of the fog. It is possible that the Archimist is actually Hannah. High Confessor Tectus calls the Archimist Anna, and says that she was Far Harbor's doctor. Anna is quite phonetically similar to Hannah. Also, she has difficulty with speech, so maybe she introduced herself to Tectus as Anna by mistake. Or it could be short for Hannah, or Old Longfellow is remembering her name wrong. Regardless, since it's just as reasonable to think that the Archimist is Hannah as it is to believe that the Mother of the Fog is Hannah, the theories seem to both be halved in likelihood. Now it's time for the second guess. There is one character from the Fallout universe that the clues really shine upon. As far as I know, I am the only person to ever suggest that this character may be the Mother of the Fog, and that makes it all the more fun. Reveal time. Nadine. Yes, I believe the Mother of the Fog is none other than the troublesome tomboy from the Point Lookout DLC. There's a lot of clues that point to Nadine being the Mother of the Fog. So let's dive in. The Far Harbor DLC is essentially Fallout 4's version of Point Lookout. One core similarity is their main quest lines. In both DLCs, the player is sent to look for a missing girl in a place very rural compared to where most of the game is set. Along the way, the player must gain access to a spiritual cult. The cult sends the player on a quest in which they have a chemical-induced episode. Then the player encounters someone who furthers their progress during the episode. In the Point Lookout DLC, a man named Tobar escorts the lone wanderer to Point Lookout on his riverboat, the Duchess Gambit. Later in that questline, he steals a chunk of the wanderer's brain during the episode. Eventually, Nadine exposes Tobar as the Grey Matter thief and claims the Duchess Gambit for herself. We've already noted that Far Harbor shares many elements with Point Lookout. The search for Kasumi is like the search for Nadine. When the player first arrives, they end up helping repel an attack. Eventually, the player must gain access to a cult. The test for entry involves a chemical-induced episode in which the player encounters someone else. Assuming this pattern of parallels continues, then the Mother of the Fog should have something in common with Tobar. And the thing that fits the best is that the Mother is also the captain of the Duchess Gambit. And assuming it hasn't changed owners since Fallout 3, that's Nadine. Owning a boat also gives Nadine a means of aquatic travel, which would explain how she got to the island. Also, how exactly the children reached the island is always left vague, but perhaps Nadine ferried them there, then decided to mess with them. Maybe the children ran into her in the Commonwealth after Isolde's group settled the Crater of Adam and hit it off after they realized they were both from the Capital Wasteland. Then maybe they said, "Hey, can you take us further north?" And she said, "Sure, these people are fun, I'll do that." There are two issues involving the Duchess Gambit. First, Tobar says that the ship isn't safe to take out to sea. However, he also says that it was at one time. So maybe Nadine had it fixed up so she could take it out to sea. Or maybe since she isn't the most responsible person, maybe she took it out to sea even though it wasn't safe. Second, there is no trace of the Duchess Gambit anywhere on the island. However, there are solutions to that as well. Maybe it sank because it wasn't fit for sea travel, and Nadine would have ended up stranded. Or maybe she hid it somewhere that Bethesda simply never created in-game. Let's revisit the chemical-induced episode in Point Lookout. The punga fruit that causes it is called the Mother Punga Fruit, which doesn't necessarily connect to Nadine, but using the word mother in both DLCs is yet another parallel here, which further suggests that the similarities we are noting are intentional, not coincidental. Now let's further examine the Mother's lair. First off, the house is notably red. Looking closely at the siding, it kind of resembles parts of the Duchess Gambit. Or it could be a nod to Nadine's hair.
She's about your age, and when she left, her hair was dyed bright orange. You shouldn't have any problem recognizing her.
Though Catherine calls it bright orange, it's much more common, at least in English, to refer to that as red hair. The lair is located in the position on the house where hair would be on a person. Perhaps that mannequin there is meant to draw our gaze to the human form. One might ask, if it is a nod to Nadine's hair, then why not make it orange? Well, maybe because that would be too obvious. After all, orange is a pretty uncommon color to paint a house. There are plenty of red houses, but you don't see an orange house too often. Or maybe it isn't a nod to Nadine, but rather one to the Duchess Gambit, as I said before. The lair has this view of a lighthouse with a structure attached to it. Here's a closer look. This is quite similar to the view of the Calvert Mansion and the lighthouse that is shown upon first sailing to Point Lookout. Yet another small thing that could be a clue. There is one big issue with this theory. The notes written by the Mother strongly suggest that she is a believer in Adam, which Nadine is not. If Nadine is the Mother of the Fog, then her most likely motive is that she's just having fun messing with the children, like she did with the tribals. So why write these cryptic notes? One could say that the notes at the shrine are meant to guide the sole survivor through the quest and sell them on the idea that they are having a mystical experience. However, the notes located at the lair seem to just be like a diary that isn't meant to be read by anyone other than herself. There is a workaround for this issue, though. Nadine did more or less play along with the religion of the tribals during her time at the Arkandov Cathedral. It seems like playing the part is part of the fun for her. So maybe that's what she's doing with the notes, living the role of the Mother of the Fog because she just finds it fun to encompass herself in this role even outside of when it's relevant to a task. So how and why would Nadine be making the fog worse? The why is easy. She thinks the conflict between Far Harbor and the children of Adam is funny, so she's contributing to it. When it comes to how, I actually have more to say here than I did about Hannah. Maybe she's doing something from the Duchess Gambit to make the fog worse, dumping punga fruit in the waters around the island or something of that nature. To conclude, I do believe that Bethesda intends Nadine as the mother of the fog. I believe this theory is the right one. There's so many clues pointing to her in Point Lookout that it just doesn't seem to be a coincidence. And it would be so genius to have brought her back in this hidden way. Please hit that like button, share this, subscribe, every bit helps me. Thank you for watching.